All right, good morning, Miami. I'm Tyler Evans. I'm one of the founders of BTC Inc., and I run our investing portfolio, and I am so pumped to see you all here this morning. I'm here with some great friends, some of the sharpest minds investing in the Bitcoin space, to give you kind of the lay of the landscape, set the stage for what we're going to hear for the rest of the day. But to kick it off, I want to ask each of our panelists here to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about their fund and kind of where they focus in the Bitcoin space. So let's start with Alyse.
Great. Thank you for having me, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here this morning with Bitcoiners. So I'm the founder and managing partner at Stillmark, which is a firm focused on Bitcoin technology development and sort of related technologies. And this is emergent from a prior decade working in venture capital and just a desire to really focus on the most important, I think, innovation and transformation that'll happen in my lifetime.
Hi, I'm Mike Jarmuz. My friends call me Muzz, as Walker said, and I'm lucky to be in between these two titans up here. We do things a little bit different at Lightning Ventures. We're really focused on the syndicate model, in grouping investors together as opposed to investing out of a fund. We do have a small pilot fund that is almost fully deployed, but we like to evangelize early stage investing and provide low minimums so that anyone can get started investing in Bitcoin companies, read updates from founders, get involved, be impactful, and that's what we're all about.
Jeff Booth from Ego Death Capital. We invest in seed and Series A and typically where all of the infrastructure is moving it's building the rails of the future.
So to maybe let's set the stage a little bit here, and I'll open this up for anyone who wants to jump in. Let's talk about maybe kind of the state of the Bitcoin VC investing landscape in terms of how many startups are you guys seeing out there? How many types of deals are getting funded per year? What stage are those companies at? What does the landscape look like today?
All right, I'll kick that off. So we've done diligence on probably over 500 companies now, and so lots of startups in this space, many young, early. I think a good framework for everybody that doesn't know what's happening and can't see what's happening is, when you think about Bitcoin in 14 years, how long Bitcoin's there, you're talking about layer 1. And layer 2 is where the internet was in 91 or 92. Now the world's moving faster now, so that it's going to be faster. But all of that innovation, why this is such a killer time, is all of that innovation and all of those startups that are creating things we can't even imagine tomorrow are being started right now. And even though you have a down in the overall Bitcoin market, a lull in the Bitcoin market, the builders are building. And when you see what's happening in some of these different spaces, I actually, for the life of me, I can't believe more people, more VC, more money isn't competing in this space, because you're literally building the future, and you're building around some of the top entrepreneurs, some of the people that you just want to spend time with. And I wish more people could see what I see at the front edge of this, because you'd see all the connections starting to come together, and it's how it's all reinforcing on a layer 1 Bitcoin that literally changes the world. So we see lots of different stuff. We can't invest in everything. There's a whole bunch of different types of investors for different things. Some of these are going to win, some of these are not going to win, but it's going to all advance a path to prosperity for the world. And it's incredible, incredible time. And what you'll see is a wall of money is going to chase into this as they see some of the success that's coming out of this.
If you think we're early for Bitcoin, which we all do, we're really early for Bitcoin VC. There's a misallocation of capital where the crypto VCs are like 90+% in other things with a very small allocation of Bitcoin. So I think that we're Bitcoin startups. So I think that is going to turn. The other thing is years ago, there wasn't really much you could invest in. I mean, there were wallets and exchanges, and now you have such a robust area. You know, there's everything from, healthcare and value for value, podcasting, streaming, the infrastructure stuff, which they really specialize in. But there's just a lot more out there now.
Yeah, so I agree with both of my colleagues. One of the nice things about Bitcoin venture capital right now is that it's still a really small ecosystem. And venture capital is like that generally. And so really we're all peers across firms. And one of the nice things about having a few years of active venture capital dedicated practice is that you start to see returns generated or a track record for performance. And the reason why that's important is because it shows investors, fund investors, and institutional allocators that you can indeed make money by investing for equity ownership stakes in Bitcoin companies. And so I think that we're likely to see a continued influx of capital into the Bitcoin and Lightning and related ecosystems. And at a really auspicious time as dev tools and infrastructure matures to allow for a greater breadth of innovation and entrepreneurship.
Like you said, the builders are building the devs tools, the infrastructure's here. Wondering if each of you guys could maybe plug a startup or a theme that you are seeing in the landscape, that you're investing in, that you're excited about. Where is that cutting edge today?
So I'll say a couple, and again, when I say this, I'm not trying to pump our own portfolio. There's a lot of stuff that we will either miss, other investors, but some of the things I'm excited about. Sonoda is kind of exploding in growth, and you wouldn't think about this as an opportunity, but it's the merging of energy and Bitcoin and Lightning, and effectively what they do is they take energy in the watts. Essentially, they make Bitcoin miners who used to stabilize the grid for energy producers, but because of the trading in Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin, some of those miners would leverage that Bitcoin and then go broke and not pay the energy companies. But if the energy companies can be paid right away, they take their best customer and they turn them in the least credit risk. And so you can imagine that type of thing you would not see normally out of that is a use case for Lightning that accelerates the merging of energy and Lightning and Bitcoin. And as energy companies build onto that, it gets stronger and stronger. Fedi, what's happening, a federated operating system that could look like Apple, but without 30% fees to Apple. There's just so much in the early stages that are just happening and it's exploding. It's wildly exciting. I can't even imagine some of the other things, the use cases that use Lightning, Fedi, something else, and create something totally new that we can't imagine today.
Go ahead, Alyse.
Sure, so I'll talk a bit about the convergence of trends. So of course, Bitcoin technologies don't exist in a silo, and so they are influenced and can influence other technology trends. And some of what I'm excited about in the ecosystem and in our portfolio is the recognition of that. So I'll give one example in a portfolio company called Clover. And so basically what Clover does is it's a developer environment ready for open source collaboration and coordination. So, and not specifically just for Bitcoin, but for this conference, they launched a website called Building for Billions. And if you go to that website as a developer, what you're going to be able to do is push a one-button launch, which opens up a full developer suite and tool set for Bitcoin technologies like BTC Pay Server, Bitcoin, different Lightning implementations. And what that does is it unlocks the potential for engagement both from devs and for users for open source technology. And to extend this point one further, this week in Congress, or maybe last week in Congress, Sam Altman from OpenAI and WorldCoin, right, proposed to regulators that we should require a license and an incentive program for people to get licensed if they're going to build models, AI models. And so this is a builder in the lead trying to close the door behind them, right? But projects like Clover would allow for things like you to access open source AI models and be able to bring that with you, so that instead of going to ChatGPT and sharing your data with someone that would like to declare themselves king, right, of AI, you can actually access a model and run it in your own browser in a way that allows you to retain privacy. And so we're really seeing Bitcoin and Bitcoin technologies converge with other really important trends in a way that I think accelerates these technologies as a whole.
You know, we're all up here, and we manage as capital allocators, and we share a lot of these same investments, not necessarily in a competitive way. So say IBEX, they're here with a large presence. That's a major infrastructure play. Things like Breeze Technologies, Roy Scheinfeld, great. People think it's a wallet. It's not a wallet. It's much more than that. With the developer kits and what he's working on. Or digital markets. I mean, digital markets is building on Liquid. They're transforming the way securities are issued. And something like Vita. You know, Vita is a telecommunications company that has the ability to disrupt using Lightning Network payments for remittances and other services. So those are a few.
And Muzz, I want to build on that a little bit in terms of also the startups, the themes, the user bases you guys are seeing for the companies you invest in. Obviously, one of the most powerful aspects about Bitcoin is that it's a global technology that's accessible anywhere in the world with an internet connection. Where are each of you seeing both founders, builders, and also Bitcoin adoption spreading around the globe, and how does that impact your investing decisions?
Our portfolio is like, it's around the world, and some of the Roy is in Israel, Obi is in Europe. It's literally around the world, and some of their teams are spread around the world as well. So, as you said, that Bitcoin is an open platform or open protocol. And that means the best people from all over the world are building to it, and it will not be stopped. It's going to advance, and it's going to advance, and it's going to advance. So you are competing. If you're here in the U.S. thinking it's happening slowly, you're competing with somebody with 170 IQ in Africa that is paid $5 an hour, and he or she wants to build a life on this protocol. It is wildly exciting, and it's moving really fast.
So Bitcoin is global. You know, it's languageless, it's permissionless, and all of our investment thesis follows that. It's not particularly driven by any geography. I mean, companies like Azteco are focusing on Africa. Companies like Cloaked Wireless, they're trying to launch an alternative network for Tor. They're everywhere. So, I mean, we have investments all over the globe, all of us. Companies like Coin Corner in the UK or Relay that are doing all sorts of non-custodial exchange options. It's everywhere. So we're not particularly focused on certain geographies like many other VCs are.
And to add on that, I'll say that it's been exciting to see enterprise adoption accelerate. So we had, I think, an announcement yesterday from a company that Mike mentioned, IBEX, which showed enterprise in Mexico adopting Lightning Network. And I think because the tools have gotten to a point that enterprise can adopt without the worry of security issues or stability issues or scaling issues even, right? So Lightning has sort of reached this point where enterprise can finally adopt, and they're ready for it. And that's in large part attributable to the excellent development at the infrastructure level. And so the work that was done in 2020, 2021, 2022 in bear market times will be really important to driving adoption in this next cycle.
I want to pivot our conversation a little bit now and focus on the prospective founders out here in the audience. And I can tell anyone out there listening that you would be lucky to have each of these on your cap table, because I get to see a little window into the world of the work they put in behind the scenes and how they support their portfolio companies. So I'd ask you guys, what advice would you give to a prospective founder, or what are the things that you look for that make it so that you can't say no to an investment in a founding team?
For me, it starts with the person. So I want to. Bitcoin is actually, you'll know this if you're deep in Bitcoin, but the paradigm of building to Bitcoin is completely different than the paradigm building to fiat, where you build walls to keep your competitors out. You provide value, and over, and the value the value that you're delivering is actually other people are going to compete it with it. Prices are going to continue to fall in Bitcoin terms. What that means is you have to, and this is going to sound soft, you have to love the people you're working with, because you're going to be with them for a long ride. And if you care about them like that, you're more likely able to help them. You're more likely able to not act like a VC and here's what you should do. You want to be the first call. You want to be when they can't sleep at night because something happened, you want to be the first call to be able to help them. So I think about from my side, and then what do I look for? First the person, team, then idea, and what they're looking for. And just some advice for founders: treat capital, all capital, as us do. Constantly, like if you're going to one person only, you're doing yourself a disservice. Treat capital as a competitive game, and if you're not hearing yeses and people saying, "Oh, I'm waiting," it's a no, and your pitch isn't right. And so just listen to that feedback and talk to lots of people, but constantly measure: is my pitch or is my idea landing? And if it isn't, to lots of people, change it.
Well, hopefully you get to have all of us on your captain, okay? Because luckily you don't have to just pick one, all right? We all have unique skill sets that work together. We can all do different things at different stages through the life cycle of your company. I have a little presentation tomorrow on the enterprise stage where I'm going to talk about how some of these can work together. I think the biggest mistake, though, is not communicating with your investors and not keeping them updated. You know, there's nothing to hide from, okay? If you get into trouble, we're there to help you, okay? We want you to succeed as much as you want to succeed. And, you know, burying your head in the sand, maybe not sending an update for 4 or 5 months, maybe going dark when times are tough. You know, once you take money from someone, whether it's an investor or a VC or any type of investor, you are married to them. Okay, so involve them in every possible thing, good or bad. Leverage every skill set that they have. That's the most important thing. You know, use these people. They're on your team. You're playing a chess game. You have all the pieces in front of you. You have rooks and kings and knights. You're building that. So I think it's important to do that.
Those are great points. So we really mold ourselves in terms of how we work with our portfolio to the characteristics of the company and the founder. So there's some founders that we will work with very frequently and some that we'll check in with once a quarter. But what's consistent across the group is that the folks we work with are really honest or feel like they can be really honest with us. And in return, what I hope that we give them is stability. And so this is what I mean. In startups, it's not just up and to the right. There's always peaks and troughs, and that's even for the most successful companies. So the companies that IPO will have gone through really rough times. We know that and have seen that before and are really undisturbed by that. And it allows us to work closely with our founders and also in a non-judgmental way. And so I think hopefully we create an environment where founders can just really, and team members can feel comfortable in leveraging us, even if it's just to debrief on something that's happened that's been really difficult.
Great. We're almost out of time here, so this may be our last question we get to, but I wanted to leave the audience here with some inspiration. One of my favorite things to browse for some inspiration is Y Combinator's list of requests for startups, where they have a bunch of ideas that they want to fund in the future. What are your requests for startups in the Bitcoin space of things that you would love to fund, but you haven't seen out there yet, or you haven't found the right opportunity?
I don't have that because the space is new, but what I would say is if you see a problem that today isn't solved on Bitcoin, it's screaming, and you're saying, why isn't this solved? It's screaming opportunity. And so entrepreneurs solve problems. They see the unmet needs that people think they have, and they build to the unmet needs. So if you see something that it feels like an unmet need, explore it, because there's likely a really big opportunity in that unmet need.
I mean, specific to Bitcoin, we're not talking about flying cars and stuff, right?
Keep it Bitcoin.
You know, in the payment space, it's funny to me that there isn't a sort of a card solution, a plastic solution, where you can fund it with Bitcoin and it will do that instant conversion to pay the merchant on the other side. That actually doesn't exist. If you actually wanted to live off Bitcoin and get off fiat, you have to kind of load this card and then maybe you can't reload it and all these other things. So that's something that I've kind of always thought was there, as well as, you know, some type of lending that actually works. I know Fuji Money just launched yesterday. They presented yesterday as well. Is there going to be a solution to the CeFi blowups that we all just went through? There has to be, because you can avoid taxable implications. You can access lines of credit based on your Bitcoin in a non-custodial, secure way. I think that that's left to be tackled, but I think that there's a lot of smart people working on it.
Okay, I'll say two quick things. We're interested to see companies that are leveraging Lightning Labs Taproot Assets protocol. And secondly, as I mentioned before, Lightning Network has greatly matured. That's in part from efforts of companies like Amboss Technologies that offers a way for enterprise to generate reliable payments at scale and also to seek economically productive yields through Magma Marketplace, and to see companies building to take advantage of that or to extend that value for enterprise clients or otherwise would be really fantastic.
That was great. Thank you, Jeff, Muzz, and Alyse.
Thanks, Jeff.
Welcome back. I'm Pete Rizzo, editor at Bitcoin Magazine. We're here again at the Bitcoin Magazine live desk presented by Marathon. Once again joined by special guests Mark Moss, host of The Mark Moss Show, Isaiah Jackson, author of Bitcoin and Black America, and Q Gahimi, host of Late Night Bitcoin. We just heard from some prominent venture capitalists in Bitcoin and want to turn the page, guys, to the next panel that we'll hear from on the main stage, the future of the creator economy, and a topic that we were talking about backstage, censorship on social media, censorship of information. Mark, I know you have some strong thoughts on this.
Yeah, unfortunately, censorship is an issue that is an age-old problem. We've seen that since 400 BC. We've seen it, obviously, through the Protestant Reformation, and we're seeing it alive and well today. And so, of course, as governments start becoming more corrupt and start losing their grip, they have to tighten the control of information, the narrative. And so that's what we're seeing today. We're seeing well-known reporters like Matt Taibbi, we talked about, being hauled in front of Congress, being raided by the IRS, being smeared by MSNBC, and then said that they were lying about information. I mean, it is crazy what's happening. We're seeing censorship, sponsors canceling sponsorship of creators and so forth. Tucker Carlson being kicked off Fox. I mean, who knows really what happened there. But censorship all around us. And so the rise of the creator economy can solve this issue, where creators can create directly to their audience and then get paid directly from their audience, not having to get sponsors, not having to rely on platforms like Fox or CNBC, not having to rely on a sponsor wanting to pull their sponsorship. And so Bitcoin opens that up. It opens that up. And so the internet is mostly decentralized. It allows me to get my information out there. And now if we can open up that payment technology, I think we have a whole new world. I think it's going to be amazing.
A censorship-resistant money changing social media. Zay, your take on Elon and Twitter and the current age of information that we're in?
Oh, yeah. Well, first, as somebody who's been censored multiple times and canceled on social media, we definitely need to make sure you have that free speech. With Elon, a lot of the hype around people being able to speak freely, I like it because, for the most part, if you actually want to use social media today, you have to watch your words, which is preposterous to me. It's just sounds coming out of your face. What are we really talking about? People get really upset about certain words and certain phrases or how people talk. But I think that freedom of money, freedom of speech go hand in hand. And I think Elon's going to help solve that if he adds payments to Twitter, as well as other things he may do on the platform.
Well, I've heard rumors about Bitcoin coming to Twitter live today on Nostr, a prominent social media network that is rising. Q, your take on Bitcoin censorship and social media?
Look, this is the moment where in the Sovereign Individual, shout out CK, please, everyone watching, read the Sovereign Individual. You have the information age alive and well, and there is a growing ability for you to access whatever you want, but because of that, the powers that be want to prevent you from reading and accessing whatever information that they don't agree with. And it is a very scary precedent. We're seeing all of the things we were told in 2020 and 2021 start to uncover, and we're finding out the truth of what actually happened, and what has been told to us was quite frankly false. To go to the social media side of it, Taibbi and all of these Twitter files, whether or not you want to believe them, whether or not you like Elon, is irrelevant. This is concrete facts that have been handed over and that we are seeing in real time. We're not even being told these things. They are releasing the documents for us to see ourselves and make our own judgment and our own conclusions. And it's so, so important because it's the age-old saying in Bitcoin, don't trust, verify.
Of course, interesting implications as well with the ability to publish information on Bitcoin through new protocols. Need to throw it to the main stage now, the future of the creator economy happening live. Smash that rumble, smash that subscribe. Stay with us at Bitcoin Magazine Live.